Coalition of Immokalee Workers. So it's an organization made up of humans protecting the rights of humans. The farm workers are some of our hardest workers in the nation. They haven't had raises in decades and decades. They've been subjected to human slavery, poor working conditions, lack of water, shelter, all kinds of just horrendous things we don't have to think about. And the Coalition of Immokalee Workers is a group of those workers and supporters outside of their community that have band together to ensure they have proper working and living conditions. Officially with the CIW, it would be through Cornerstone United Methodist Church. My pastor was on the board, and we as a youth group got involved and did some tours with them, began to educate ourselves about the justice issues in Immokalee and throughout South Florida. Beyond that, I've lived here my whole life. I grew up in Immokalee. My mom ran a daycare in Immokalee for 20 years. So I had a lot of first-hand experience with their conditions before improvements were made. And it was always heart-wrenching to see those families having to live like that and work like that. The kids not seeing their families because they were in the fields from sun up to sundown. So we had an opportunity to join in relationship with the CIW through our church. We took the opportunity. We went out and met the leaders and some of the workers, and through that we've just developed a relationship and a love for that organization and all their good works. After every surgery, for years, the first place that I would go would be Wendy's for a double cheeseburger. So obviously you have to fast before a surgery. I haven't done that the last couple of surgeries. I think their stance on not taking the simple step of penny a pound pay increases, as well as just the simple humanitarian view of setting aside, again, the lives and the living conditions of these people who serve us to bring us fresh fruits and vegetables. For them to set that aside for such a minuscule monetary amount, regardless what that is on the greater scale. I don't know how many Wendy's locations there are in the country. I don't care. They just need to step up and do the right thing. There are so many larger corporations that this means, since the argument typically is money, it means so much more to them from a financial standpoint. And to see someone who is capable of making a difference and jumping on board with a movement that is so critical for the lives of these families and the future of our state and agriculture. I haven't been to Wendy's since. Because they are people, we are people, and you never know when you're the one that's going to be put in a position where that's your job option. I don't think anyone from Mexico or Guatemala or Nicaragua or Haiti or any of the people that come here come to America thinking that they're going to have to work in such egregious conditions. Our climate is brutal. It's brutal. So to work that hard and to not receive a fair wage, to not have a fair shot of actually improving your life and the life of your family, it's kind of unthinkable. I'm a spoiled American, so I can say that I understand where they're at or where they're coming from, but I really don't. I can see it and I can comprehend it, but I can't understand it because I am afforded privileges that they're not afforded. And I mean, we can go into the political immigration and all that junk, but I don't think that really matters because we're all created by the same Creator. We're all humans. Those men and women that are working out there are my brothers and sisters, and I wouldn't want my family to be treated the way that they're treated. Do unto others. I think we just focus on the word fair. There's a select few people that provide sustainable food resources for so many. For us to not be fair with their wages, for us to not be fair with their living conditions, for us to not be fair with their clothing, with their food, with their water, with their kids' time with their family because they lose out on it because mom and dad are working out so hard. food, fair trade coffee, fair trade jewelry, fair trade clothing, it all comes down to equal rights and human justice. I mean, it's just because they're paid doesn't mean that they're not slaves to the system. So fair food to me would be to ending the abolishment of that slavery, even if we don't want to label it that way for whoever's feelings are hurt, whoever's toes are stepped on. It's slavery because they're stuck in those conditions. They don't have a way out. So fair food is a way for them, that movement is a way for them to begin a step towards a better future for them and their families. Florida is a very, very expensive place to live. We have more millionaires per capita than anywhere else in the country. The gasoline, the grocery prices, the clothing, the housing, everything is reflected on that. There is no way to successfully, healthily, sustainably raise, maintain a family, a lifestyle here in this state without a fair wage. I don't want to say that socialism is the answer or communism is the answer, but we definitely have to level the playing field. When we have people that are never breaking a bead of sweat, making millions of dollars a year, and we have men and women who are out there bleeding and sweating every single day for $70. If a penny a pound can make the smallest difference in their life, then I think that there shouldn't be a corporation that should turn its back on that. And for some who haven't even sat at the table yet for those conversations, I'd say that they might want to just try imagining themselves in those shoes. I make what would be considered a reasonable income, and I can barely make it in this town. So to think what they are having to endure, I thank God that we have government assistance, and I thank God that I pay taxes so that at least I can help in that way for any of them that have to be on food stamps, so get government housing or subsidized clothing and school supplies, and they shouldn't have to ask for any more with this as much as they do for us. So penny a pound, how about $1 a pound? How about retirement? How about benefits? How about what can we do to make their lives better? That's what I think about penny a pound. Because God has called us to love one another, to treat each other as we'd want to be treated. He's told us that all men and women are created equal and in the image of God. So to think that because of someone's ethnicity or their background or their place of birth or whatever label or stigma that we want to put on anyone, to think that anyone deserves to live below someone else is against everything that Christ said. Christ never had a home. Christ never bought a pair of sandals. He was God. So if he can live simply, then those of us who are living well beyond simply should really start thinking about what they can do to help those that are at the bottom rise up and be the men and women of God that they've been called to be. They can do as much as their hearts and minds desire, but unfortunately our world, our economy, holds them back from a lot of opportunities that they shouldn't be held back from. So, being a man of faith, I would say that we continually pray, that we continually support, that we not just talk, that we don't just use words, that we don't just watch programs and documentaries, that we don't just do interviews, but that we stand alongside of them in any facet that we can to continue this effort for fairness and justice and equality and proper treatment of these people who provide us with things that we love so much and couldn't live without.